Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about our first bus. So the first bus I like to put on the main vocal is actually reverb. So reverb is basically, think about, let's say you're in a big room and you clap and you hear those echoes off the walls reverberating, kind of bouncing off all the walls. That's what reverb is. So reverb will make your vocal sound like it's in a specific space or room. Think about why your voice sounds good in the shower. It's basically because of the reverb bouncing off the walls, creating that natural echo. So the plugin we're going to use here is actually called Manny Reverb. I'm going to walk you guys through what all the knobs do. There's a bunch of different reverbs in that Waves pack, but I think this is the simplest one, but also gives you the best sound. So let's break down what's going on here. So up here you have these 6 different options. These are different types of spaces. There's ambience, chamber, room, space, plate, and hall. So those are the 6 different spaces. All of them have different characteristics and different color, different sound. So you can play around and see which one suits your song the best. They're essentially exactly what they are. Besides, ambience is kind of a more clean sounding one, and space is a little bit more, open sounds. Think about space, pretty open sounding. But the rest are going to simulate what that chamber, what that room in a hall would be like for a vocal. This pre-delay is basically simulates how far away from the wall of that hypothetical room your voice would be. So if you have the pre-delay low, basically it's going to be less echoey because your voice is going to sound like it's right up against the wall. But if, let's say, you're far against the wall and you say something, the echo is going to sound bigger. This time is basically the time, how long those echoes are going to bounce off for. Basically, if you put it all the way longer, it's going to sound more echoey, less. Reverb amount is just the amount of the reverb. This small, medium, large controls how big the room is. Bigger the room, more amount of echoes, more tails. Smaller, it's a tighter sound, cleaner sound. This right here, so this is basically an EQ. So you can control the highs, the mids, the lows. This comp is actually compression. So if you put the compression higher, the reverb is going to pop out more from the mix. If you put it lower, it's going to, sit in the mix a little bit better. It has an input and output, which controls, basically how much of the signal is inputted, how much is outputted. Always keep this dry wet at 100%. Because it's on a bus. So basically you can control how much is on it with this knob right here. You don't actually have to control it with this dry wet. You can make it less wet if you want, but I would start from 100 and work down from there. This phaser is another effect. Phaser is like another type of kind of movement. So it can make your vocals kind of move a little bit with the reverb. Distortion is going to add a little bit of distortion, same as the saturation we talked about earlier. You can add some to your reverb. So these basically are adding effects, not to your vocal, but to the reverb itself. So when your vocal is running through that bus and the reverb, it's going to add a little bit of that effect to the reverb. You get what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it when it comes to this plugin in terms of all the knobs and the different features. Let's play a sound, see what it sounds.
I see you the girl I should have found. You the girl I should have found.
Without it sounds a lot.
I see you the girl I should have found. You
see how it sounds far away now?
When I
play with that far away. So basically what I would do if I was using this plugin is kind of first pick the location you want, so the different either space, plate, hall, room, or chamber, and find the size of the room. Then I would play with the amount of reverb you want on it. After that, you can control the pre-delay, which is basically how far away from the wall you want to sound. And the time is going to control how echoey you want it. So you can control it, kind of experiment. It all depends on what type of song you're making. Like someone like a Tame Impala, they're going to have a lot of reverb, a lot of pre-delay. They want that big sound. So it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing rap, you kind of want a little bit less because you want it cleaner. So reverb is something you got to experiment with, but now you know exactly what this stuff is doing. But to find the sound that's perfect for you, you're going to have to experiment. But yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to this reverb plugin. And as far as the EQ on this is what I have on the REQ, just to let you guys see it. As I mentioned before, I'm going to have this REQ on all of the buses. As you can see, it's right here. So right below that, you're going to put it right here. And make sure you have your buses on stereo, not mono. Another thing. Yeah. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the reverb plugin. I'll see you guys in the next video.